Yo, what's going on, man? This is Cigar Boxing. I'm sitting down to eat my breakfast, having a cup of coffee this morning. Just got finished watching this Horn Corcoran fight in Australia for the WBO welterweight strap. What did y'all think of this fight if you saw it? But when I really think about this fight, this puts the welterweight division in kind of like a predicament, man. Um, I'm not saying, Horn is holding that belt hostage. But by the way, that fight was a good fight. It was on ESPN. It was on at booty crack in the morning. But I'm getting my kids ready for school and everything. But this fight, it was a good scrap. Gary just, even though he was in a tough fight against Liam Williams, two fights before this, he's an okay fighter. But his punches are very wide, and he just did not have the speed or he can't adjust to beat Jeff Horn. It was just tactically selected opponent who was pretty much handpicked for Jeff Horn, in my opinion. But it was a good fight. Gary was tough as nails, man, in this fight. I mean, if you wanted to see some leather flying and guys going back and forth, this was a good fight to watch. But it still doesn't give me an account of certain things when I look at Jeff Horn. So, respect to Jeff Horn on a 11th round TKO stoppage because of the cut over the eyes of Gary Corcoran. And it may be a little premature stoppage, but it was a really good fight. It was entertaining to watch. But watching the fight still, I mean, they were scrapping, going back and forth. For the cuts, I don't know how the judges' scorecards looked, but, I still had Jeff Horn up by 2 rounds up to this point, to the 11th round. So, with Horn having the WBO, and then you got Spence Jr. with the IBF, and then you got the WBC and WBA held by, Keith Thurman, man. A lot of guys in welterweight right now, let me say this, the biggest thing I noticed in this fight with Jeff Horn is his size. I knew it before when I watched him fight Pacquiao, but I really looked at it again in this fight, and all the guys who are holding belts right now are big welterweights. Right now, I don't think you could be a small welterweight and compete on an elite level anymore because these guys are huge. If I was Terrence Crawford, I'm going to be honest, I would stay away from a Jeff Horn fight. I would fight other guys that you could tactically beat, but the stylistic matchup is not a good look. And plus, Jeff Horn is much, much bigger than what you think. I'd stay away from that matchup, to be honest. The fights I would really be looking at is maybe a Adrian Broner and a Danny Garcia. Oh, yeah, let me mention this. Jeff Horn, if he has a major win over anybody else, they're going to pump him up to be a huge star. Top Rank is going to do it. So if he beats somebody like a Danny Garcia or he beats any other champions right now that holds a belt, they're really going to pump Jeff Horn up. I know, it sounds crazy, but I can tell by the way they're promoting him. He's one big win away from them really promoting him hard, even though he's in Australia. I mean, watch the telecast of how they were talking about Jeff Horn and how his fight style was enjoyable. He has an enjoyable fight style. So I'm telling you, y'all need to watch out and how they promote guys. Fight styles, styles make fights, and we talk about it all the time. So I'm waiting to see what happens with that one. Do I believe Jeff Horn, once he tries to unify the division, if he does, will he last? I don't think so. I think all the other welterweights can beat him right now. But if I was Terrence Crawford, from what I just saw, I would stay away from that fight, especially if you have to fight in Australia and all the parameters and stuff like that. I would not fight him. I try and find another fight. It's another fight you can make a lot more money on. Like I said, hopefully Adrian Broner, Danny Garcia, and, some of these other guys, or Porter, or whatever. Because right now, Horn, I don't think, can beat anybody who holds the belt besides that. But the thing I'm noticing is how big the welterweights are now. Yeah, I mean, look how big Sean Porter is. Keith Thurman, Earl Spence. And then the guy who loses out the most in the welterweight division with all the addition of people and with Crawford coming up, I've said it before, is Danny Garcia. Garcia needs to fight, and he needs wins this year. People are talking about how much Keith Thurman didn't fight this year. How about how much Danny Garcia didn't fight this year? And I like Danny Garcia. His father's a little over the top, but in the welterweight division right now, with such a pool of talent and so many guys, you cannot afford not to fight. So I'm anxious to see what happens. And I'm telling you, if Earl Spence Jr. makes light work of Lamont Peterson, he's going to be avoided even more. I think he's avoided a little bit because he's strong, he's young, he's fast, and he's a southpaw. Interesting matchup would be Horn and Spence to me. Stylistically, it would make for fireworks because the thing that, I still believe Pacquiao beat Horn, but the thing that made that fight interesting, even though Pacquiao was beating his butt in that 9th round, is the way he came back, and what Horn started doing is throwing shots when Pacquiao exchanged and threw shots. That would make for an interesting fight to me against Earl Spence. I'm not incredibly impressed by Horn's style, but he's a scrappy fighter. So, I give him respect, but hopefully he'll have a better opponent this time, and we can see him step up and try and unify the division. But anybody who saw this fight, what did you think? And this fight was similarly eerie to the Liam Williams fight to me. But, tell me what you think. This Cigar Boxing later.